Shit. Here we go again.
Hey guys, welcome to another installment of Rebuilding My Childhood, where I completely restore one of the sets from my original childhood Star Wars collection. I finally have my next set completed, set number 7662, or the Trade Federation MTT. Real quick, I just wanted to start with some background on me and this video series to get you up to speed since it's been a little while since my last video in this series. Like many kids, I grew up collecting Lego, mainly Star Wars sets, all through grade school. Being a millennial, the prequels were the trilogy I grew up with, but I was introduced to the original trilogy sometime around middle school, and I eventually grew to love them just as much or even more than the prequels. My collection consisted of both prequel and original trilogy sets, but I have memories of playing with Darth Vader and Luke minifigs before I'd even seen the original trilogy. Alright, so after I graduated high school, I moved out of my childhood home to go to college, leaving my Lego collection behind. I basically took a 4-year hiatus from collecting and building while in college because I was a poor student and just super busy, you know how that goes. Eventually I finished college, got a big boy job, and since then I've slowly been getting back into collecting Lego in my young adult life. In the last few years, I scrounged up what remained of my childhood collection from my parents' house, sorted it all by color and type, and now I've been working to restore all of these sets one by one. I was pretty eager to get into this one because I had noticed a lot of the parts for it while searching through the collection during my Slave 1 restore project. I was pretty confident I'd have the majority of original parts for this one, but I also wanted to make sure I was super thorough this time when going through the beginning inventory step, since I made a few unnecessary purchases during the Slave 1 restore. As a result, the sorting took a really long time, but it was well worth it because I ended up having almost every single part for this set, minus some of the battle droids and a few other parts. I had the entire part list printed out courtesy of Bricklink, then any piece I found belonging to the set would go in that see-through box, and I'd cross the part off the printed list. I started with brown, then moved on to tan, white, bluish gray, light gray, then lastly black, which took the longest. I had already collected almost all the translucent parts randomly along the way because I knew that the MTT was the only set I owned that uses the orange translucent cheese slope pieces, so that last bag was just the stragglers. This first bin you saw me go through was basically the last remnant of a custom build from my childhood. At one point when I was a kid, I took the MTT apart and tried to build a robot that resembled one of the Decepticons from Revenge of the Fallen. The one with the one giant wheel at the beginning of the movie. Super random, I know. So when I retrieved that robot from my parents' house, I knew that almost all the parts from it belonged to the MTT. I wish I had some footage of the robot for you guys, but I had already taken it apart. So yeah, I went through that bin first, and then you can see that I'm reconciling with the printed part list the whole time. Basically just had to go through every color one by one, which was tedious AF, but I told you guys I wanted to be super thorough this time. My general approach for this project was to go through my beginning inventory, assess the condition, acquire all the missing parts while trying to stay under my budget, then clean them all up and build the set for a quick review. You'll see on this part list I was only missing around 18 of the almost 1,200 pieces of the whole set, which amounts to less than 2% of the whole set. So I was pretty happy with that. Like I said before, since I knew I already had most of the parts for this set, I went into this project not too worried about my spending, so I didn't really look at value comparisons of the set until after I'd already started buying parts for it. But I also went into this project knowing this MTT set is very valuable today, even a used one. So once it was finished, I checked some eBay sold listings just to get an idea on the estimated value of my set. A few months ago from the time of this recording, used versions of this set were going for about $300. So yeah, I knew spending a few bucks to restore the set would be worth it in the long run. Alright, so once I completed step 1 and 2 of going through the beginning inventory of my set and estimating the value of it, it was time to shop for the remaining parts. Mainly I was missing the majority of the droids that come with the set, and I was anticipating those would be my highest cost. First, I went to the LEGO website and got droid torsos and arms, as well as a few other random pieces, including the control panels. But this was a rare LEGO mistake where they actually sent me the new control panel design, which is the wrong kind for this set. Either that or they just didn't sell the old ones anymore at all, and their website wasn't correctly updated. So that was kind of a bummer to find out when the pieces got delivered. I actually made that first LEGO website purchase back in 2021, if you can believe that. The total cost of that first order with shipping included was $36.03, but if you only count the parts that I actually used plus the shipping, the total was $16.32. I ended up having to make a second order because I forgot a few parts the first time around. Luckily I had a bunch of credit, so it brought my cost down a ton on the second order. Total cost of that second bricks and pieces order was only $3.93 after using the credit. Other than that, I was still missing the correct control panels, so I got those from Bricklink as well as the droid heads and legs. I got more droid parts than I needed for this set because I knew I also needed some for another restore, the 7654 droid battle pack. Total cost for the control panel order was $5.33. It took me 3 separate Bricklink orders to get all the battle droid parts that I needed. Totals for those orders were $15.76 for the legs, $9.12 for some of the heads, and $15.67 for the rest of the heads. The last pieces I needed were 3 4x8 gray plates, and luckily I was able to find them at my local Bricks and Minifig store. You'll see that I also picked up a translucent grill piece that I needed for another set as well. My total cost for all that was $1. My final cost for this restore added up to $67.13, or if you think I should add the full price of that first bricks and pieces order, even though I didn't end up needing a lot of those replacement parts, my final total would be $86.84. Either way, I'd still be able to sell it right now for around $300 and make at least $200 profit. And I'm sure the value over time will keep increasing, so I think it was definitely worth the cost. Alright, so on to the review. This set is a beast. After all these years, it's still iconic, and I'd say it's easily the best MTT they've ever made. First off, I have all the rest of the new spare parts I purchased that I didn't end up needing. And who knows, maybe one day I'll end up needing some of the other parts, like the next time I decide to rebuild this set. Unfortunately, this was the only set from my original collection that I no longer had the instructions for. It was one of those rare cases from when I was younger where my dog actually ate my homework. Or in this case, ate the instructions. She just tore them up one day, like when I left them out. I thought about buying some used ones, but decided not to for the time being. Maybe I will later. Then this next bag is my used spare parts, just extras that I scrounged up during the initial sorting. Didn't think I'd need them for any other sets, so again, better safe than sorry. Now onto this beautiful baby.
They were all skinks. What are you talking about? Look at all the beautiful babies here.
From what I could tell, none of the parts had any cracks. They were all in pretty good shape, actually. This set has so many cool opening panels and play features. The droid storage inside, the pilot command area, then of course the droid carrier that opens using the Technic mechanism built inside. It doesn't hold anywhere near like what a real MTT from the movies would hold, but at 16 droids it still holds more than double what the other two MTT sets hold. Then you got the droid transport that stores in the back of the MTT. It's definitely a respectable side build. It's cool that it has this little storage compartment too. Then all the rest of the droids are in good shape. Those are all my original torsos for the pilots and security droids. Then a few original legs and heads. But as you saw earlier, I did have to buy the rest of the parts from Bricklink. All in all, this is definitely a crown jewel of my collection now, and I don't really have anything bad to say about this set. I don't really see myself ever wanting to sell it either, unless somehow I were able to get like a great deal on a sealed one, but I don't really see that happening. There's barely any on the market at this point, and they're all like over $1,000. Alright, I hope you guys enjoy these restore projects. I'm definitely having a lot of fun with them, but they're also a ton of work. But if you do like them, stay tuned because I got a lot more on the way. And if you don't like them, well...
Fuck me, right?
Last thing to do is to take apart the set, give it a nice wash, then put it away to its final resting place. Alright, let's do it.
You can rest now.